All right, so we got my, I don't know, 2006 model DR grader that has got a failed bogie that is bent. And I think the welds have cracked. So I'm gonna try to move this thing into the, well, close to the garage anyway. And see if we can unpack all this garbage, hook my little battery to it, and because this is the original battery, it died because I never really charged it, so it never worked when I needed it. So I just ran a couple of wires up here, and I've got wires on my lawnmower and my side-by-side that I run back and just tie into it, and that runs the little actuator, which has always worked pretty well. So I'm gonna start taking all the rocks out of it and give this thing a good cleaning so I can figure out how bad the welds are broken and see what we can come up with. Well, that's entertainment, I guess. First time in 15 years I've ever cleaned it. And other than this bolt being a little wobbly, we could probably use some new bearings. But I didn't realize there was Zerks on it either. That's how much I paid attention. When stuff isn't going to leave me stranded, it's still good enough. Yeah, I'm going to check the bolts underneath there. Oh, I wonder. No, that thing's twisted. Thought the bolts might be the only thing that's screwed up and attach it. But no, this plate is not at the same angle as that one, so we're going to have to do something. So, alright, I'm going to go get my little battery box, hook that up, get the fob, and jack this thing up. Alright, that should be good enough. Now I think what I'm going to do is pop the wheels off, maybe even pop this whole bracket off, take that pin out, disconnect the drive arm. I'll be damned. This thing's really good. I should have paid attention to it, but it's still not bad. There's even Zerks for the bearings up here. Man. Yeah, if it can't leave me stranded, I don't pay a lot of attention to it. Although, probably should, because this thing wasn't terribly cheap, but that was 15 years ago. And it's lasted pretty darn well. So, yeah, I think I'm gonna wire brush this stuff, pull the casters off, and figure out how to pull this bar off and go from there. So that's next. Okay, so that's that, and you can see the difference here. This one's not quite the same. But interestingly, not too terrible. Alright, so this we will pull this pin. Oh, very nice. That's interesting. Cotter pins on each end. But the plates are captured. So they gotta come off anyway. There it is. Not much to that. So, as you can see, it's just cotter pinned with a shoulder, and that, oh, there's our problem. The weld stayed intact, the tubing didn't. So that's going to be fun. But at least the welds on the bolt inserts didn't fail. So we're going to pair of pliers, pop these out, see what we're going to do next. One. Two. And now we're down. This one looks pretty good yet. I don't see any cracks forming. This one, however, has had better days. So, changed my setup a little bit. I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do here. Maybe I'm just gonna clamp it in a vise and beat it back into shape. I don't really know yet. We're gonna see. Uh-huh. Kind of in the same plane. Yeah, whenever I'm struggling with how to do something, you know, I always reach for my great-grandfather's hammer. You know, it's really special to me, thinking about how many things he actually built with this. I've replaced the head twice and the handle about 3 times, but it's the most special tool that I own. Anyway, I was able to clamp this thing in a vise. And I tried twisting it with a big wrench, and it was actually twisting the whole rod. Like, that's not going to work. So I just clamped it in the vise, and I really did just beat the tar out of it. And it closed it up. I'm sure that completely stressed it. Yeah, I can see a fracture over here on this side starting over here. You can't most likely, but this weld, both of these welds are pretty cracked. So I'm going to end up having to grind that smooth, get all the powder coating out of there, and glue it back together with some wire. I'm not going to call it welding because I wouldn't insult welders by making them think that I thought that I could. But that's what we're going to do. But we're probably not going to do it tonight. We may do it tomorrow now that I got it squared away. But it's kind of warm and I'm dripping. So that's next. All right, well, let's start cleaning. Yeah, pretty good crack on that other side too. But this isn't quite Well, it eventually got through the powder coating. Not quite. Need something a little more aggressive. Even got my safety squints on. I don't know a lot about welding, but I know that I guess it helps if it's clean. And that's not great, but better than it was. First attempt with an auto darkening helmet, so we'll see if I go blind or if this actually works. Or if I have a ground. Alright, take two. Not my worst stuff. It's amazing what you can do when you can see. It's kind of nice. Kind of nice. I do like the helmet. That's bad. That's some terrible stuff. Okay. Get my ground hooked back up. Yeah, that thing was cracked all the way around just about both sides. Alright. Alright, that's terrible. But it'll probably hold. I am not a welder. Alright, since it looks like the camera crapped at some point, I don't know when or why, we're gonna let that boogered up mess cool, slap some paint on it, start putting this thing back together. That's the plan. Something else I'm going to try to do is replace this battery while I'm in there. I got a cheapo battery charger for it from the Hardly Great. And I've got this weird one that I bought. They didn't have the right sizes noted on the specifications when I bought it. I thought it was going to fit the Harley. When I was screwing around with that, it didn't. Doesn't really fit in here either, but I bet I can make it work. And then maybe I can get rid of these stupid cobbled together wires that I use to run it right now. Maybe. We'll see. But for right now, we're gonna paint that thing up, get it back in place. Alright, well, she's back together. Just like it came apart. Little brackets go back on. Cotter pin goes back in. Grease the crap out of everything. Probably going to need a new caster on that side. The seal's gone, but that's my fault for not greasing it, and well, it's 15 years old. So everything else is pretty good. Snugged up that one wheel over there that was a little wobbly. It's now fine. Now we're going to take the battery out, see what we got, and if I can make room for that other one. So that's next. All right, well, that wasn't too terrible. I did have to open up the backside a little bit to clear it and put a $300 hunk of 2x4 in there to jack it up so the positive terminal wasn't touching the frame. But now I'm gonna fill it up because this is a dry battery. That's why I haven't really worried about it. So I got to put all this stuff in there, and then she should start making some juice. And then I'm gonna forego the aluminum strap that used to be on there. I think I'm just gonna punch a hole in here and zip tie her in place because, yeah, that's what it's worth. Or I may use the aluminum thing and just bend the crap out of it. We'll see. I don't feel like getting too fancy. I just had to change my hat because I have sweated through the first one. But yeah, so I think it's gonna work. I don't think this thing needs a whole heck of a lot of juice, but we will see. Back after I fill it with the acid. All right, she's full. Of course, I spilled some and it started immediately eating the steel, so I hosed it off. Probably throw some baking soda on it just for grins. And let's see if it works. I'll call that close enough for government work. Get up there. Whew, all right. I just got to finish out my battery hole down and plug her in. And she should be good to go. So, I don't know how many of you have these things. Probably not too many, but I bet there's a few out there. It's been a pretty good unit for a long time through no maintenance whatsoever, and I've never even broken a tooth off of it. Knock on wood, I'll break 4 of them off tomorrow. But they come apart pretty easy. If the welds give way, you can kind of put it back together with some steel-flavored bubble gum, and I think it'll work. And then if you need to change that dumb battery, you can cut that thing. I don't think that's going to weaken it too much, and worst case, if it does, I'll tack another brace in there somewhere. Anyway, I'll have some of these tools you may have seen me using on my Amazon affiliate. I appreciate everybody who uses that. It does help the channel out a little bit. Otherwise, hope you're all having a good day. Keep cool. Talk to y'all later.